Hello, how are you? Uh, I hope everything is going well. Today, briefly, I want to talk about coordination in the construction sector, especially in the construction site. Uh, I believe this is a big problem for the sector generally, and it directly affects productivity. If you work in construction site or in for construction sector, you know that always people have a problem in the communication, in the coordination, and people blame each other. Today, my main goal is to talk about a bit what is going on and to try to analyze the problem a bit. And then, of course, I will just give some information what we are trying to do as a bot more technology. First of all, my name is Aydın Çekiç. I'm the founder of Botmore Technology. We are located in London and we are working on construction technologies. Yes, yes, today we will talk about the coordination. What I want from you, if you are watching this now or later, please make comment under this stream and about what do you think about the problems directly affect the construction productivity, and mainly of course what is your experience about the coordination problems. uh, Today I want to focus on 5 points which I want to talk today is process, data, technology, human resources, and contract. Mainly, these all are related to coordination. First of all, the process. Uh, Unfortunately, in the construction sector, we couldn't talk about the processes. Generally, are just there's a contract, and of course, this contract is putting some rules which we should use them, and these contracts are forcing us to do something. Okay, this is cool, but we don't work on the processes. We don't work on the people relations. So I think this is very very important, and we have to create a process charts for each project we are working on. Generally, people talk about in the construction sector there are different players and different parties, and they are working together, and this create a chaos. I don't agree with that because yes, there are different parties, but in all production processes there are different parties. In automotive sector there are different parties, they are working together, there are different subcontractors, material suppliers. So if you look from this point of view, I think this is not so viable answer, okay, for this question. I think maybe the problem most important problem in the construction site is it's everything is temporary. Project durations are 3 years, and you are a location, a geographic location, which you have to make your project, and you will be there just for 3 years. So all relations with this production area and of course subcontractors and the supply chain is temporary. I think this is one of the most important thing directly affect our mindset because we always think short term, and this makes our projects are more create more severe problems in the process management. I think maybe the most important thing is that, but we should look our projects in more detail, and we should design our processes. I think this is not rocket science. What I mean, uh, at the end we have a project, we know what we need on this project. Generally we know our subcontractors, geographic conditions, weather conditions, and we can create a process for communication, for coordination, especially in the construction side, from the design to the facility management. I think this is very possible, and we can do this. We have to spend some time at the beginning of the project about the coordination process. Now, because of the building information model implementation, some companies are using beam process systems. Uh, I think this is very critical. Uh, yes, beam providing us is a wonderful tool, but we don't just trust beam for the coordination. Yes, it is a tool for the coordination, but you can't manage all your construction coordination just with beam or beam tools. You need more. You should understand that all subcontractors, all supply chain, and maybe the community on the location are related to this project. So you should put a good communication plan, and and of course you should link this communication plan to the coordination. So people should know that their responsibilities, how they maintain the coordination on the site, how they will solve the problem, how will they uh, solve the risks on the construction site. I think this should be defined, not just for documentation. Really, we should put some diagrams, we should give some roles to the people, and people should understand it. It's not about technology, it's about just design your processes. Unfortunately, I haven't seen that kind of things much on construction site. Generally, people are doing that kind of process charts just for the tender documents or for the contract addendums, that kind of things. I don't talk about that. I'm really talking about that. You are doing your job. There's some designer, there's some engineers, there are some engineers on the site, there are some subcontractors and laborers, and you try to make a plan, real, how you will maintain coordination on the site, how many meetings you will do, how long these meetings will be, and what action items will come from these meetings. I think that's very critical. People are talking too much on the construction site about a lot of things. There are a lot of meetings on the construction site, but people don't solve real problems. They don't put real action items there. Maybe after some people are working on the problems and they create some action items, but at the end it's not the real result of the meetings. So these meetings are consuming a lot of time, but they don't really satisfy the coordination. So the processes are so important. I think we should do that. We should think about that, and then we should implement it on our construction projects. After the process, we can talk about the data. Maybe people are talking about so much about data nowadays, but we should know that without process, data is meaningless because you should use this data in a proper way. I think one of the most important thing, processes, because processes are important, how you will collect this data, and the second thing, how you will consume this data. These are so important. Just data somewhere in some server is just a load. It's not important for us. We have to know that how we will use this data in our processes, of course, which technology will consume it, and how we will get benefit from this data. If we don't think about this, uh, it's a big problem for us on the construction side because there are a lot of data already there, and yes, we can increase the number of data sources in construction site. We can use IoT, we can use wearables, we can use video, photo, image recognition, we can use different kind of data sources. Yes, this is possible. Beam is a data source for us, but at the end we should have a plan, and it's coming from the process. From the data side, of course, there's different players. and the construction is temporary. So we should have a good common data environment plan. How we will store our data, how we will share our data, and who can access this data. Um, as far as I saw on the construction side, people are a bit conservative about data sharing. I think it's a bit a transparency issue, but it's still very critical. Sometimes people don't share really so important data with their subcontractors, and then the decision process is affecting from that. So because of that, we should understand data will be more valuable when we share it, when we make it accessible for everybody on the construction sector, on this project. So uh, from the supplier to the subcontractor to the designer, we should share the data, and of course, uh, we should create a common data environment to see the recent data. One of the biggest problem is people talking about, for example, a design issue, but one of them is looking the oldest data and the other is newest one. So they argue about it, but normally this is not the argument. This is about the data sharing. This is about the data sharing process. So we should understand that we have looking the same data, and we are sharing this data with the related people, and we are all in same page about the data. This is very critical. And afterwards, when we collect the data, we start to solve problems of the people on the construction side, because data play crucial role in the production, because when you collect data in different sources, IoT, from documents, from ERP, from planning tools, and you combine them and you start to crunch this data, you analyze this data, you can take insight from this data, you can use daily basis. You can ask yourself, how can you do that? If you have a good processes and if you have a good data collection system, then it is easy, because then you need just a good technical guys, data scientist, or just a machine learning engineer, that kind of people, or a small data science team, of course, they are working together. A separate team that understand from the construction sector. It should be a data science team coming from the construction sector, and it is a multidisciplinary action. And they will come together. They analyze your data. They create some results. Some will be so beneficial, some are not, because data science is like a iterative process. You can't just make a data analyze and solve all problems, but it's a good starting point for you. And in that point, of course, we will come to technology. Yes, technology is so important. There are a lot of tools, but unfortunately, people are starting from the technology and try to go to data and process. I think this is not true. We should start from the process data, then the technologies come. We should understand, we should analyze what kind of technology we need. Different tools are already on the market. Different technology segments are already on the market, and they are very well, but we should understand our positioning of our project in this technology map. So I think technology selection is a critical thing, and there are different decision points in this technology selection. One of them, what kind of technology we are doing, for example, is important. If you are making a project which will be, for example, like airport, and it is important in the operational side, you should make a different approach. Or you can make a housing project, a small housing project, and you don't have a big budget about technology, and your approach should be different. But at the end, you should use the technology. The first point, you try to digitize everything, because paper forms or other kind of things which are not digitized is very big problem for you, about for the data analysis and for the process implementation. So first of all, maybe you are a small company or a big company, or you are one man trying to make design, digitize everything. Secondly, try to use a cloud because cloud is very easy to sharing the data and it makes everything more accessible. And this is the second thing, digitize and use the cloud. And afterwards, there's different tools you can collect data. How you can collect data? Of course, there's a document management tool, which is a starting point because there's a different documents on the construction projects. So you can use a document management system to see the revisions and to manage the data. This is good. The other thing, people are told design management because you are doing different designs, and of course, the design management is an important thing. And of course, you can use some standards in this design management workflow. It's perfect, but the tools are important. Technology is important, easy to do that. And we are coming a point, of course, BIM, building information modeling, because if you are use a good BIM tool, you can make a good analysis on your model and you can use this data, you can consume this data very effectively. And in a point, you start to understand your needs. You are using different technology solutions, and at the end you try to combine all this data to create a journey for your project. Uh, After understanding this, you will combine your process data and technology in an effective way, and you optimize all these relations. Some people spend too much money to the technology, not to data and the process, and it doesn't affect it. So you have to create a balance between this 3 point to create a good uh, data, process, and technology stack for your company, for your project. So there are different tools, especially for example for business intelligence side. When I talk about the data insights, you have to use some analytic tools. It starts from the Excel is a very general analytic tool for you. You can play with the data, but it is of course so limited in a point. You can go business intelligence tool just like Power BI or Tableau. And then of course you can use different more sophisticated tools, for example, some machine learning platforms, other kinds of things to make the different things. But this is step-by-step process again. You should understand uh, importance of data and process, and then you start to ask questions. And if you can't answer these questions, just looking, for example, your Excel file, you need more and more technology to crunch this data. I think it's very important to understand that. And after, of course, these three things is very important: process, data, technology. But of course, in every company, human resources is the center of the communication, of the coordination. And unfortunately, in the in the construction sector, we have a problem in human resource. Uh, Human resource quality is not so high in construction sector. When we talk about the technology, data process, and of course, people will use this. There are a lot of uh, useful mobile app on the construction sector, but people on the site don't like to use them, don't enter data to the systems. So this create, of course, a data breakdown, and this is a big problem. People are trying to solve construction issues with their experience. Yes, experience is so important. I don't want to talk about that. And of course, experience is so valuable for a company, for a project. But if you try to solve everything without system, just with your experience, this is not a sustainable thing. Uh, because of that, in the human resource side, we should change our approach, change our training system, and of course, we should put different incentives to the people. Not we are just put incentives to the people on the construction projects. Just finish the project. Just it's about just make your job, solve the problems. This is not the main incentives. We should put incentives to the people more process based, more data and technology based. If you do that, people mind start to change. Of course, it's a step-by-step process, not is a one shot. But you should understand that human resources is very critical in construction sector. It is very different from the other sectors. Other sectors make a long-term relations with their workers, with their employees. But in construction sector, it's something like, yes, we are starting a project, we are hiring new people, they come together and try to solve the problems. This doesn't create a company spirit or project spirit. uh, for the for the projects. Another important thing, uh, I'm civil engineer, but I done step by step to go for more technology side, and I use in especially in software development agile methodologies like Scrum, Kanban, that kind of strategy, project management frameworks. In general, in construction sector, of course, people are more attached to waterfall type project management. It is normal because you have to manage your cost structure so strictly, and you have to create some reports for the owner of the project. So waterfall seems a bit easier because in the waterfall you plan everything from the starting point, and you know your budget, you know your timing, scheduling. But of course you know that then we give some budgeting problems, we are living some budgeting problems or scheduling problems. But in the starting point it seems wonderful because you know you show everything to the owner, and it is so clear. And I am not against it, but something like construction sector, we have to use more agile project management methodologies. What I mean, especially from, for example, from starting from design, we can make some sprint uh, cycles to solve the problems and to manage the project using agile methodologies. If you are working in construction sector, my advice, please look some agile solutions, agile methodologies, and you will see some part of it already you are doing on the construction side. You have to do because you have to be agile. You have to solve your problems because weather conditions are changing, your budget is changing, so everything is changing. So you are already agile and you are solving the problems with your team uh, using agile methodologies without knowing you are using it. Because of that, I think construction companies and human resources should give more importance to agile methodologies, and that people should train themselves about these technologies. I think it will be important for the productivity and to understand to create a framework for the construction sector and to solve the problems. This I think another important thing. Maybe we can link this issue with the lean construction, but I don't want to enter the lean construction because lean construction is another issue and it's so important. And we come a fifth important point from my point of view is contract. Contracts are very critical for the construction sector. Yes, for all sectors, contracts are so binding, bind the parties, and it's very important. But uh, as far as I saw on the construction projects, people are just believe the contracts and they just do what the contract has. So they don't make other plans, or they didn't make more high quality things if the contract doesn't put that kind of thing. So this is a bit different relation between the contractor, subcontractor, material suppliers, and it doesn't depend on the quality, it doesn't depend on the technology. Generally it just depends on the contracts. You can say that yes, contract, and everybody on the construction sector say that if we have to do something, we should change our contract framework. Yes, it is true. If you change your contract relations in the construction sector, everything start to change. But I think one of the main problem, we are so contract oriented. It is a bit important. It's a bit important problem for us to manage the project. So, what's my suggestion? Of course, contracts are so important, but we should put different incentives other than the contract, because now construction sector is changing and competition is increasing. So pricing and of course minimum limit of the quality is important. But some companies should put their high quality with different technologies, and they can create competitive advantage for themselves. For example, a design company use a different technology solutions and give a higher quality design to their customers. I think it is important for them because there's a huge competition, and you have to create a competitive advantage for you. If you just wait and you just fulfill the contract conditions, yes, everybody can do this in a point. And there's just one point you can find to compete. It is price. and pricing competition is not is a sustainable thing. Then your profit is coming down, and you start squeeze your budgets, and of course this is creating a circular relation. If you don't if you don't earn money, you don't make investment for research and development and the new technologies and new processes. And it when you don't do this, it decreases your profitability. And this cycle is affecting you so much. So in that point, I think companies should think more wisely and for the future, for the sustainability of their company. Of course, it's related to profitability too. Uh, this is the points I want to mention. Of course, coordination is there are a lot of aspects of the coordination. Please make comment about it. What do you think? What is the biggest problem about the coordination on the construction side? But briefly, from my point of view, we can use different technologies for the coordination if you have a good processes. And I want to come a point AI, artificial intelligence. How people always ask about that AI powered blah blah, AI powered blah blah. Of course, we can AI can help you in the coordination too, from the different using different technology infrastructures. For example, NLP, natural language processing. Uh, NLP can summarize your documents, specifications, and it is very important because there are a lot of documents on the construction sector, and the summarization of it and to find the real data is very critical. And NLP, AI, NLP technology can work for you to solve this problem. Perfect. And the NLP, on the other hand, can make your speech to text. When you are talking about a problem in the meeting, automatically it can create the text script of your talking, and then you can analyze this speech to find real problems, and you can create a meeting uh, meeting notes using this data, and you can analyze this data afterwards. You can make search. I think this is other good thing. On the other hand, of course, image recognition, AI-powered image recognition, or you can analyze your video recordings on the site to understand what is going on there, or you can analyze pictures for the safety reasons or for the issue management reasons. You can put a different sensors on the construction site. These sensors can be very basic things like beacons, just understand the location, or it can be very sophisticated sensors you can use to understand the pressure, you understand the weather conditions, you understand different things. And of course, all this collected data, or you can put some sensors to your equipment to understand what is going on in this equipment, and you can catch a very critical points about this machinery and construction site conditions. And then you can analyze this data as far as I say before, and you can create good insights. Of course, all of them are possible, but as I said before, I think the first thing you should uh, create a framework for you. You should decide which kind of technology which level you need, and you should put the benefits and your cost about the technology. So, in my point of view, one of the most important uh, thing you have to be careful that you don't make just investment to the technology. First, think about it and think your project, understand your needs, understand your project needs, real your project needs, not for general needs, and then start to use technologies. I think this is very critical. This is my idea about that. And what we are doing is both more technology. I don't make our companies commercial here, but just I wanted to make an example what we are trying to do. We are developing a digital assistant for the coordination. What I mean, a digital assistant, I think you have used Siri, or you are already using at least WhatsApp. So I know that construction site people use that kind of communication tools like WhatsApp, and they are sending message each other to solve the problems. to make the coordination. So we develop a digital assistant which manage all this communication and of course manage the coordination. Basically, for example, you are living a problem in the construction site about the quality, you are creating an issue, and our chatbot, our digital assistant, taking this information, find the related people, and gives this information to this, assign this task to the related people, and chase all these uh, process. And when the problem is solved, it gives notification to the related peoples and create a registry on the background in the database. I think this is very yeah, not so complicated, but very important because all this communication is registered and all the problems lived registered and solutions are registered. This is huge data. Afterwards, really you can use this data to understand what happened and how the people solved it. And you can use this data to make some predictions about the future problems and future, of course, solutions of those problems. We develop that kind of things, and basically we use NLP technologies in the background, and of course we are collecting this data in the database, and we are using machine learning algorithms to analyze this data to give the different insights. The best side, these technologies are more reachable at the moment. So I think because of that, I always say that the technology is not a big problem. The big problem is how you collect data, how you clean the data, do you have a process, and what are your problems, and what are the priority of your problems. So we try to solve one of those problems, which is issue management, and we try to register everything about the issue management coordination. Of course, there can be different tools, and on the market there are a lot. But if you have different experiences, uh, the technologies you are using in the coordination, please share uh, under this stream, and people make comments, and I want to see them too, because there are a lot of different technologies. Basically, now Zoom is a technology just making coordination. So COVID changed a lot of things on different sectors, and of course in the construction sector too. But we should understand that we need a good process work on the construction sector, especially for our projects. Whatever, if you like to talk more with me, you can reach me using LinkedIn. Uh, Thank you very much for your time. If you have questions, I will check after this presentation, and I'll try to answer them uh, from the channels you are using. Whatever. Thank you very much for your time, and see you. Have a nice day. Bye bye.